This episode is proudly sponsored by HASA, the trusted choice for liquid chlorine. It's better because it offers the highest purity, works instantly, and contains no added CYA. By the bottom feeder, professional-grade battery-powered swimming pool vacuum system, it sucks to clean pools, so cleaning pools sucks less. Get $100 off the bottom feeder with code DVB100. Skimmer, trusted by over 30,000 pool service professionals across North America. Skimmer software helps you save time, grow revenue, and boost your 5-star reviews. Whether you're just starting out or expanding your team, Skimmer's easy-to-use tools and expert support have you covered. Upgrade your business in 2025 with Skimmer. Try Skimmer for 30 days for free at getskimmer.com/poolguy.
The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show.
Hi, and welcome to the Pool Guy Podcast Show. In this episode, I'm going to talk about picky service customers, and I'm going to analyze things for you and go over things a little differently than you think when you think about a picky customer. And I'll give you, of course, strategies to deal with this and some common scenarios you're going to run into with these, what we call picky customers. Join my coaching program and take your pool service to the next level. Connect with other pool pros in your area, gain valuable knowledge, and transform your business with personalized one-on-one advice from me. With over 36 years of experience, I'm here to help you succeed like never before. Learn more at poolguycoaching.com. I think one of the distinctions between a picky customer and a difficult customer is how your attitude is when you see them message you on the phone. If they're a difficult customer, right away you're going to have higher anxiety and feel frustrated and angry. Now, if they're just a picky customer, then you're going to probably feel a little irritated, but you're not going to have like a high level of anxiety. So I think that's the distinction that I make between someone who's really difficult and someone who just is picky. One of the things that I've noticed with customers that are picky is that they tend to be that way as their personality. So if you get to their house, you're going to see that usually their cars are immaculate. Everything is organized. If you ever go into their house for any reason, and I've entered houses to adjust the automated systems on some of these customers, it looks like your house never is going to look like this probably, but their house is always immaculate. It looks almost like walking through a museum. And this is kind of their personality. And the pickiness of the service is kind of an extension of that personality. Of course, if all of their life is detailed like this and the pool doesn't look like that, or the equipment area isn't clean, you're going to get complaints for that. So I really think that in a lot of cases, the picky customer is just their personality trait over anything else. And a difficult customer is someone who maybe has some of these aspects, but they're more aggressive, they're more irritating, the way they kind of communicate and talk with you. There's a big distinction, in my opinion, between both of those. So the picky customer may be someone like, I've had this complaint before. So one of the things that I do in my business is that I always change out parts of the cleaners, and I'll leave the parts on the equipment area. And I had this one customer message me on this. It's like, hey, why did you leave this on top by the equipment? This bag full of, broken parts. And I told him, well, I just do that as a habit because it's just my way of showing the customer that I changed the part in a particular item. And I usually leave it there for a month and throw it away. They're like, well, I don't want you doing that. So can you if you change anything, just let me know. I trust you. I don't want any junk over by my equipment. So that's kind of a picky, a nitpicking thing. And I understand they're kind of a clean person and they don't want to have that over there. And I changed my policy for them. Another instance of someone who I think is picky is the arrival time for my pool service. Now, there are certain instances where the arrival time is important because there's a gardener or landscaper on the same day, and they don't want you there before the gardener because it kind of defeats the purpose of what they're achieving, which is a clean yard and then a clean pool. And I get it. I understand that. So there are certain instances where they tell me to be there after 11 o'clock, and I know for sure that the landscaper is done by 9:30 at this particular account. And there was a few times where I showed up like around 10:40, 10:45. And I did get a message saying, oh, we want you to be there after 11 a.m., please. Again, that's kind of a picky thing where I'm just there 15 minutes early, but they have in their mind, and again, this is their personality, that 15 minutes early means that I'm not there after 11 a.m. to them, which is a valid point because they did specify after 11 a.m. and 10:45 is before 11 a.m. So you kind of see where I'm going with this. There are instances where someone is correct, even though you may feel like it's not a big deal. And sometimes just empathizing with that picky customer is enough. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize for that. I understand that, I made a mistake with the time and I will make sure I'm there after 11 a.m. on the service day. One way to deal with these picky customers, and you'll know them right away. I mean, it's kind of obvious when you talk to them. They'll point out certain things that no one else would point out with the pool, but they do point it out. And one thing, of course, is to set the proper expectations for your service with the picky customers. So a lot of times I'll go a little above and beyond on these pools where I know the customer is either watching me clean their pool through the cameras or maybe just watching out the window, who knows, kind of creepy, I guess. Or they may come out after you clean the pool and inspect it. And there are people that will do that. Now, they're not difficult, I don't think, at this point. There's a distinction that I made earlier, but they do want their pool cleaned properly. So I'll definitely go the extra mile. I'll make sure the tiles are scrubbed. I'll make sure I leave that pool with nothing in that pool, no debris in the pool, the pump basket clean, the skimmer basket clean. And you probably should do this at every account, but if you've been doing this for a long time, there's certain customers that don't even know they have a pool back there. And you can kind of cut corners. I mean, don't do the pool correctly, but you can cut corners and it doesn't have to be like totally spotless. At the end of the day, most people don't really care too much about their pool. You probably care more than they do in a lot of instances, but there are those customers, like the ones I'm discussing here, that do care a lot about their pool and they're really picky. So one way to kind of balance that out and offset any kind of issues you may have is to, of course, provide excellent service. Clean the pool, make sure it's clean the way they like it cleaned, show up when they expect you to be there. A lot of times I try to land at the pool at the same day, at the same time every week. There are things that come up like filter cleaning or problems, but usually I try to make it there in that little window so they expect me at that time. Really great for picky customers because they want to make sure that you show up at that time. For some reason, they like that consistency, and a lot of customers do like that consistency as well. But there are some customers that don't really care what time you get there. Even if you change service days, it doesn't bother them. And so with a picky customer, you don't, of course, want to change service days or service times without explaining things in detail. So communication is key with someone who is a more detailed customer and may nitpick things. If you're going to move them from, say, a Wednesday to a Thursday or from a Thursday to a Friday, again, you don't want to move picky customers backwards because the first thing going to be is like, I want you closer to the weekend, so I don't want to go from Thursday to Wednesday. So you don't want to move them backwards. Other customers that don't care, you can move those backwards in the week. But if you are making any kind of changes, they need to be informed specifically of what the changes are and explain that in detail. One thing that I've noticed with these highly detailed customers that are picky is that they'll analyze the bill very carefully when you send it to them. And if you charge them for something, they're apt to go on to Amazon, which is not a good correlation, by the way, for any kind of comparison in prices because of all the generic stuff out there. There's a ton of it out there. It's kind of weird. And I'll take a little side note here to go on a little rant. I think it's kind of strange that a big company like Amazon, and I buy stuff on Amazon all the time. I'm a big fan of getting stuff delivered. I understand that. But I really find it interesting that they have so many generic pool parts and pool products on their site. And a lot of the big manufacturers, I understand they're under contracts from Hayward, Pentair, and Jandy, under contract from other companies in the industry where they can't sell the generic parts. But what kind of bothers me is how the generic listings are out there as if they are the actual OEM products. They even look like them. There's a particular VS pump that looks almost exactly like a Pentair pump. So a customer may be like, hey, you charged me $1,800 for this pump, and I see here on Amazon for $900. Really, you have to explain to the customer and I wish Amazon did a better job of this, is that these are not the original manufacturer parts, even though they look like it, and they may even look like that in the listing. A lot of times the companies will come after them, like Jandy will sue them and try to get that listing removed. But while they're up there, it makes it difficult for you with the price. So what I do to these customers, I explain in detail that what you see online is totally different than what the products I get. My supplier only carries original manufactured products because they're under contract with these manufacturers to carry parts made by the company, and the wholesalers are not allowed to carry generic products. They can carry off-brand products like Valpak that makes a lot of skimmer baskets and pump baskets, but they can't carry purely generic parts coming directly from China or other parts of the world. And I basically focus on the quality of the part. So for instance, if I put a Whisper Flow pump basket in and the customer is like, hey, this is only $7 on Amazon, I let them know that the pump basket that I put in is a manufactured branded product, and it's going to be much more long lasting and more durable. And then they'd be like, well, the reviews on Amazon, they're like 4.5 stars. So how much better could that be? In a case like that, where they're really pushing and they're getting into almost a difficult customer category where they want you to match the price, I'll simply just tell them, you know what, I'm going to refund you that pump basket. I'll just remove it. Once you buy, I would have them order that one on Amazon, leave it out there for me, and I'll put it in, and I'll just take the other pump basket out, and then I'll sell it to another customer that's not going to give me that kind of pushback. But there is a little bit of crossover with someone who's really picky, where they become difficult. And this is when they become more demanding of your service, or they want higher expectations that you can't provide for them. One of these is that a customer that may want you to come back for something that happened at their pool. This happens a lot. They'll go out there and they'll see the automatic cleaner is not moving, and they'll text you, hey, the cleaner is not moving in the pool, which means that the pool is going to be dirty the rest of the week. Can you come by and fix it? Now here is where this could be a precedent that you set that you don't want to set, and that is going back to a customer's pool, not on your regular service day, to do something that, of course, you can probably fix within like a minute or two, but you have to drive back there. Now, a lot of times you can cross over your route and get back there without much hassle, but you really want to set this in the customer's head that every time you go back to the pool for something that's not on your service day, it's going to be a service charge. Now, you can charge them whatever you want. In this case, if you want to charge them your full, $95 service charge, if you want to give them a break and charge them $49 for a return visit, whatever the charge you have in mind for your business, I would definitely tell the customer, yes, at this point, if they're new, I would say, yes, I'll return to the pool and get the cleaner working. But in the future, there's going to be a service charge every time I go back to your pool when it's not the service day to fix something. If it can't wait, if it's an emergency, of course I understand that. But a cleaner not moving in the pool is not considered an emergency. Or if if there's something else, like they notice that the skimmer lid has a crack in it, but it's not anything dangerous, and they want you to come back and put a new one on this week, that can wait for the service day in most cases. Unless, of course, the skimmer lid is cracked in half and you can reach in there. You kind of know the limit of that. Or if they want you to reset their system and change the time on it to come on sooner or later in the day, not really an emergency. And I would definitely send them an invoice after the fact. So you go there, you get the cleaner working, send them an invoice for the return service call, but zero out the invoice so that they get the invoice for the return service, but it says 00 courtesy visit. And then they'll understand that if they call you back for these minor things in the future, they're going to be charged a service call for that. And chances are they're not going to be asking you to come back, but they may note things like, oh, you know what, next time you're here, can you change the time? And that's kind of how you train them to, yes, they're picky and they want, exceptional service from you. But at the same time, you can't be going back to the pool during the week when it's not your regular service day at no charge, because that costs you time, and time is money. I think the thing that you want to avoid is being frustrated and kind of, being passive aggressive with these picky customers. What I mean by that is if they ask you to do something, you have a little bit of an attitude when you do it, or you won't do it, or you won't do it correctly, just to kind of get back at them. And this is something to avoid so that you don't have bad relations. I really think that you have to look at the customer as their whole property, how they actually function. If are they a detail-oriented person, and are you not meeting their expectations? Do they want more than you can provide for them? In some cases, of course, that is something that you can't do. I mentioned the return visit, and sometimes you can't get the pool to the level that they want depending on the weather. So if it's, really windy out, there's no way to get a pool that's full of debris back to normal in your allotted service time. And so if they want you to come back and finish cleaning the pool, which sometimes is hard to do, by the way, because your week is pretty full. But if you did want to set a Saturday up for any of these customers after a windstorm that have special service, inform them that there is a $95 or $120 service charge for a return visit as a special cleanup. If they have a party and they want you there on a Friday, let's say their service day is a Wednesday, and they want you to move it to a Friday, I don't really have a problem with that. If they want me to move it that week so that the pool is clean on the weekend. But if I service the pool on a Wednesday and then they text me later and say, oh, you know what, I forgot to tell you there's a party on Friday, can you come back and clean the pool again on Friday? At that point, the first time I would tell them that's a courtesy. I would let them know next time, let me know ahead of time and I can move my service day for you if that's possible. Of course, your route may not, the way your route space may not make that possible, but I would let them know that there is a service charge for a special cleanup. If they're having a party and they want you back there on a Friday, most people will pay you a fee to clean the pool. They understand that that's not their service day. Even if they want you there on a Saturday morning, if you do Saturday service, a lot of people don't do that. But if you do, you charge them for that as well. The bottom line is that you want to kind of accommodate the customer that's picky or detail oriented, but you don't want to set precedents that will kind of cost you money, lose you time, and make their expectations too high for what you're providing. Make sure that you have a service agreement that outlines what you provide for them. If you want a copy of my service agreement in Word format, I can send that to you. Just email me at david@swimmingpoollearning.com, david@swimmingpoollearning.com. And this outlines basically the basic expectations, what you're going to do at the pool each week. And if they expect anything above that, you can explain to them, this is what it says in the service contract that I do, and I apologize for that, but here's a section, and you can review it when you're free. Something like that is good because then they'll look at it and be like, oh yeah, that is true. So you'll find that a picky customer is usually reasonable when you point things out to them, and a difficult customer is unreasonable even when you point out something that corrects them. And that's another distinction there for you as well. Looking for other podcasts that I've recorded, you can find those on my website, swimmingpoollearning.com. On the banner, click on the podcast icon. There'll be a drop down of over 1,500 podcasts for you there. And if you're interested in the coaching program that I offer, you can learn more at poolguycoaching.com. Thanks for listening to this podcast. Have a great rest of your week, and God bless. This episode is brought to you by HASA, providing products that deliver clean, healthy water for every aspect of everyday life. The bottom feeder battery-powered vacuum system, portable, powerful, and only weighs 12 pounds. And Skimmer. Get Skimmer, America's #1 pool service software. Podcast listeners can try Skimmer for free at getskimmer.com/poolguy.